Hello, beautiful people. You might be wondering why I didn't go live yesterday. Boy, do I have a story for you. I was supposed to go to Lviv, obviously. But I didn't because Cindy had complications. I had to bring her back to the doctor. She was like, I woke up yesterday in the morning and and there was like blood on my pillows. So she was like sneezing blood or like whatever, which I was told is like not great, obviously, but is okay given the circumstances because basically all the other doctors, hi, buddy, all the other doctors that were not the original clinic thought that the original clinic basically damaged her trachea, which it'll be okay, like it'll heal, but like it's gonna take time and whatnot. So, anyways, I was having this really shit day. Dog wasn't doing well. I was not happy with how not well dog is doing. I was like super stressed. I was like, there was a lot going on and stuff like that. And so I have a neighbor. I met a neighbor recently. Some of you have heard this story, Grumpy, for instance, because I called Grumpy, like morning my time. But so basically, how is your name actually spelled? Is it Yulia or Yulia? So it's Yulia. The reason why it's Yewleea is because there are a ton of Yulias, and this was like my graphic design brand name. And I've been spelling my name like that on the internet since like 2016, because that way also Americans have an easier time pronouncing my name, because then they're like, oh, Yulia. When I write Yulia the way that it should be, people say Yewleea, like whatever. So Yulia is easier. Okay. Hi, Orenbot. Hi, everybody. So I have a story for you. Before we get into the news, I will tell you the most horrendous story out of my life. So I don't smoke weed. I mean, like I do very, very, very rarely. And the type of weed that I smoke, if I do, is like imagine like the most garbage weed that barely does anything. Like barely does anything, because I don't like not being in control of myself. I don't like not being present. I don't like being like, out in the sky, basically. It's just like I need something that might put me to sleep, or something that just like lightly relaxes you, which is why I do it rarely, right? So I have a neighbor, and this neighbor has an English bulldog, and I like met the neighbor through the building chat. I know his wife and stuff like that. And so he was like, hey, I have like 420 stuff flown from California. Do you want some? And honestly, I've had like a shit hell of a week with Cindy. So I was like, you know what? Yes. So this man comes over, and it's not flour. It's oil concentrate. And I mean like 94% THC oil concentrate. And for some reason that didn't like register with me when it was first introduced, right? Because I was stressed. I was like, you know what? Whatever. So I took a hit of that THC vape. And for the next hour and a half, I thought that 8 years have passed. And that's not the worst part of it. So I thought I was stuck in a simulation, because everything kept like slowing down and then speeding up and then slowing down and then speeding up. And my neighbor, who has done this a million times, realized that I'm not having a great time. Okay. I also told him that this is not what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting to have like a freaking acid trip. Okay. I was expecting to relax. And he was like, uh-oh. So he started walking me through everything that is going to happen and everything that is happening as it's happening. And in my head, I'm getting paranoid. So I'm thinking that this man is a master manipulator who created this simulation out of which I'm never going to be able to GTFO. And I'm like panicking. And I'm literally walking him through all the crazy stuff that's happening in my mind. I'm like, listen, I don't trust you. I think you created this world and I'm never gonna get out of it. Because like I keep telling you that I want this to end and you keep telling me it's gonna end soon. And like, we've been here 5 times before because I remember this conversation. It happened beforehand. Like, and we're here again. Like, so I thought that my apartment, which is my living room, which is pretty small, I was like, I don't think I can get out of there. I feel like I'm in a Sims 4 simulation and this is the only room that exists. And if I open the door to the hallway, like there's not going to be anything there. And he's like, you can go open the door to the hallway. There's going to be a hallway there. So I go and I open the door to the hallway and there's a hallway there. And in my head, I'm like, okay, this man literally, like this man created that he knew that I was going to ask that, right? I'm like, but there is no outside. And he's like, Yulia, I'm not going to let you go outside. Don't get me wrong, because you're literally out of your fucking mind. And I'm like, see, I knew it. He's like finding reasons to not let me go outside. Anyways, this was like the longest hour and a half of my life. I literally thought like 5 years have passed. I was like not doing well. At some point I got really hungry and I was eating, for your understanding, I was drinking kefir with honey and like these breadsticks out of a bowl. That was the only food I had at home out of real food. And we're going to get to the worst part of this. Okay. So first of all, it's Anastasia's birthday today. And in my head, I had this daunting feeling that I'm going to miss her birthday. So I kept asking this man, I'm like, what date is it? I'm like, it's a Friday, right? And he's like, yes, it's a Friday. It's about to be a Saturday. And I'm like, how long has it been since this situation? And he's like, I've only been here for 45 minutes. And I'm like, there's no way. It feels like you've been here for 6 years anyway. So like, I don't even know how to describe it because it was like the worst time I've ever had in my life. And then after an hour and a half, it like finally went away. It was like 12:05. I messaged Anastasia and I was like, happy birthday. Because I needed her to respond to me, because if she was angry that I missed her birthday, and if she wasn't, then I didn't. And she was like, oh yeah, like, haha, like I'm 39 now. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. About 10 minutes later, I was like in not a great space again. And Robbie texts me and he's like, hey, is Anastasia's birthday today or tomorrow? And I'm thinking to myself, can you be any more vague? Because I don't know what today or tomorrow means, because I'm stuck in the space and time continuum, not understanding where I'm at. So I texted him and I said, Anastasia's birthday is Saturday. I then added June 22nd, 2024, but then I figured it might be excessive and someone might figure out what type of brain condition I am in. So then I called my best friend Gabby, who I texted right before this situation happened. And I was like, listen, I need you to be very understanding right now, but can we like go over this situation for a second? I'm like, about an hour and 45 minutes ago, I texted you saying my neighbor was coming over and with like this California, whatever it is that he had. And I'm like, that was an hour and 45 minutes ago, correct? And she's like, yeah, dude, it was an hour and 45 minutes ago. So she stayed on the phone with me until I fell asleep because I was so paranoid. It's not even funny. She was laughing at me. She's never seen me high in her entire life. And she was like, I cannot believe that the first time that this is happening, I'm literally like on the phone across the ocean from you, because like she could never convince me to like smoke weed with her. And she's like an enthusiast. Okay. She used to infuse her own oil and stuff like that. And I'm just not like, I don't really partake that much. Like, again, something super light, very easy once in a while just to sleep. And so she stayed on the phone with me. And then at about like 5 or 6 or maybe 7 a.m., I woke up. And I woke up and you guys, this is where we come into me calling grumpy, because I woke up and last night I was obviously having munchies, and I don't have anything in my apartment out except for chocolate that random people brought when they were like coming over to my place, because Ukrainians cannot come anywhere empty-handed, and I don't like chocolate. So the only thing that I could actually like easily eat was chocolate. And apparently I fell asleep with that thing of chocolate in my hand, and I woke up with melted chocolate all over my bed sheets, under my ass. I'm not even kidding you. This is what my bed sheets looked like this morning. Okay. Um, it literally looks like I pooped myself. Like, I'm not even kidding. It looks like I pooped myself. At that point, I called Grumpy, and I was like, "Hi, Grumps." Uh, thank God he was awake. He didn't know why he was awake. He was literally like, "Well, I was going to sleep, but you called," and I think he was so happy he picked up that phone call, because he probably had a fantastic time laughing his ass off, because I was just, I don't even know how to explain myself. And then this morning, and then I woke up later this morning, and I was like, so like this entire day I was so slow. I was like so done with it. I went to a store to like get some like cine food and like breakfast stuff and all of that. And the sales associate was like asking, or like the cashier was asking me questions, and I was literally just like staring at a wall. I think she thought I was like crazy or something. Um so yeah. So that was my evening yesterday and my day today. Uh so yeah. If you guys have just joined or joined in the middle of it, um you should probably scroll to the beginning and listen to this entire story, because it's probably going to be very funny for you, or really to anyone who is not me, because I accidentally ended up like smoking high concentrate THC oil yesterday without realizing it. And I don't really smoke weed. Again, I do very rarely, rarely, and like very, very like um light core type of stuff that just like relaxes you a little bit and puts you to bed, at most. At most. But yeah, that's where we're at. I accidentally ended up getting high out of my mind yesterday. Where am I from? Ukraine. And I mean, like, and I thought I was stuck in a simulation that I will never be able to get out of. So, yeah, if anyone's interested in listening to that story, it's right there. Have you washed your bed sheets? Yes, they're drying right here. In Ukraine we don't have dryers, like usually, uh, customary. We don't have dryers. Um, yeah. So my bed sheets are still drying, and I hope that they're going to be much drier by the time we're done with this live. So yeah, that was my evening. Um, I did ask. I did ask if you were sure it was chocolate in your bed. Yes, I was sure, because there was like the. You know what's really funny? Someone gave this to me, and you're gonna laugh your ass off even more. Energy today in Kyiv. Yes, I do have electricity. 1 second, I'll show you something. I'll show you something quite funny. So someone brought this for me as a present. I don't remember when. But this is chocolate that says cannabis on it. Okay? And I had two of these. Two of these. I ate one of them. This might have made things worse. I don't know if it actually has cannabis in it or not. But when I was like in my right mind again this morning, I looked at this and I was like, "Oh no." Yeah. Okay, I mean, these ingredients are in Ukrainian, and I don't know how to read ingredients in Ukrainian. This sounds so dumb, but like, I know how to read ingredients in English. Cocoa, sugar, cocoa butter. 10% cannabis. Cannabis protein. 10% cannabis protein. Ah, so, so, uh, hilarious. So I ate this lovely stuff. So I ate this lovely stuff as well, like quite a bit of it. And I woke up literally on top. I woke up on top. Well, see, to whoever says this is actually not a lot, yes, this isn't, but this was not the story. The story was that I accidentally ended up smoking high concentrate THC oil. Okay. Without fully realizing what that was going to be. Um so yeah. So and then I also ate like half a thing of these while I had munchies. Oh snap. Hi Pamela. Yeah, I had quite a trip yesterday. Aw, thank you, Darlene. I'm like, accidentally. No, you guys need to. Okay, for those of you who missed the story, you gotta go back and watch and like listen to the story because I cannot repeat this again. But anyways, I did you fall asleep? I wish I fell asleep. I wish. I wish I fell asleep, but no, I didn't. No, I thought I was stuck in a Sims 4 simulation in my apartment that was just a set, and the person who gave me this THC concentrate was a mastermind that created this simulation and trapped me in it. Okay, so like, I've been better. But anyways, so today was Anastasia's birthday. You guys know Anastasia. Pamela, it's on YouTube. It's recorded on YouTube. Did you see Garden Gnomes? No, I had a really bad trip and I really wanted to get out of it, like really, really badly. I'm like at the end of the night, or at the end, almost at the end of this whole thing, I literally threw up. And I think I like partially was trying to make myself throw up and then it wasn't happening. And then I just, like threw up. And after that, it all got better because I just like did not want, I just did not want to be there anymore. I noticed her shaking. No, this is the other can. So someone said like I noticed her shaking the container. This is not the source of what happened to me yesterday. This is just funny because someone gave this to me as like a housewarming present and I had 2 cans of this. One of the cans is in the trash. I literally woke up on top of this, opened with chocolate all over my bed because I didn't have anything else to eat and I had munchies and I did not read cannabis on it. And then we just discovered that it also has 10% cannabis protein in this. So turns out after having a really bad trip, I also ate like half a can of chocolates that have cannabis in them. So like, you can't even make this up. It's just like it is just like this shit only happens to me, honestly. But so anyways, it was Anastasia's birthday today. Anastasia is my aunt. Many of you know and love her. She turned 39. She is fabulous and fantastic. And I was supposed to come to Lviv this weekend because it's her birthday. And I was gonna go to like a family dinner, but I couldn't because obviously I had all of these complications with Cindy, which she's now doing better. And yeah. So there is that. This year for her birthday, actually, she asked me to get her a vyshivanka from Etnodim. Vyshivanka is the embroidered Ukrainian shirts, but there is this brand called Etnodim, and they make these like really cool, super modern vyshyvankas that sometimes don't even look like vyshyvankas. I'm actually going to show you the one that she really likes. So I can show you guys at Nadim if you don't know what it is. It's really cool. It's a really cool it's a really cool store because they basically turned something that's like traditional Ukrainian into like old school traditional Ukrainian into something very modern that looks that you can like wear any day and every day. So let me find the dress that she liked very much. I'm going to show it to you because it doesn't really look like a vyshyvanka at all, but it is embroidered. And it's just very like modern and cool. And they also hide like hidden meanings in every single one of the like their patterns that they embroider. So this is the dress that she really likes. See, it doesn't even really look like okay, let me show it to TikTok first. And then I'll show it to YouTube. So it doesn't necessarily even look like a vyshyvanka that much. And wait. And it looks just like your everyday dress, but it is a vyshyvanka, and there is like hidden meanings that are captured in in the embroidery, and it's really cool. I mean, they have a lot of other vyshyvankas as well. This one is like really incredibly modern and doesn't have a lot in common with the vyshyvanka, but it's something that she's going to get a lot of use out of because it's very it's just like you can wear that at any time. I will show you a vyshyvanka I find really cool from Etnodim because it looks a lot more like a vyshyvanka. I'll show you like two examples that do still look like vyshyvankas but are very modern as well. So this one is one, and here to YouTube. See, it still has like a silhouette of a vyshyvanka, but it doesn't look quite as like dated in a way. And then there is this one that's actually been very popular this summer. I think I've seen a couple of girls wearing it out and about, which is this. It's like very pastel-y, like that. What's the name of that website? So it's Etnodim, Etnodim. If you're on YouTube, I will do this. I will write the website name and I will put it on the screen. So these are modern vyshyvankas. They have beautiful stuff for men, for women. They also have it. Yeah, you're correct, Lauren. They also, I believe, have it for kids. So yeah, did you see what I said about Joey Contino? Yes, I saw his video that he's looking for Ukrainian brands to partner with. I know a lot of Ukrainian brands, but most of them are like women's clothing. And I don't know how Joey would promote that. I also don't necessarily know, like, I don't know if I'm the right person to go to because while I do know a lot of Ukrainian brands, I don't know I don't know the back end of how PR would be done if someone lived in the US. Like most Ukrainian brands do ship worldwide, but I think the issue is that it's really expensive and it's really far. And unless it's like a big campaign with a lot of influencers, I don't know if I don't know. I mean, like the thing is, I can tell him names of Ukrainian brands, but I don't necessarily know how that partnership would work, you know? So, yeah. I mean, I will talk to Joey. I just don't know if I can necessarily help, and I don't know. I don't know because the thing is, me and Joey and people in like politics realm, right? Like brands usually do, like for instance, for someone to promote a Ukrainian brand, they need to be sure of the quality, right? Any brand. So like you would want to have a sample. So a brand has to gift you something, right? It's really expensive for them to gift a free item and ship it to the US because shipping is expensive itself. Then, so then they would have to make sure that quite a few items would sell. Also, normally items sell when it's like people who, like, for instance, my content wouldn't necessarily sell a lot of clothing, right? Or something like that, because you guys normally, if you see clothes or like whatever lifestyle videos, like I see it, you just scroll on by. You're not interested because it's not sort of like, it's not what you came here for. So, so it's usually very hard for people who talk politics to do brand deals and brand partnerships because they are not interesting to brands, because the brands know that you will likely end up selling like an item or two or three, but someone who has like a page with lifestyle content, for instance, will sell a lot more because people usually follow lifestyle influencers and like fashion influencers and like makeup influencers and stuff like that, because those are the people they go to for suggestions. I don't know if it makes sense, but it's sort of like, I think, I don't know. I used to try, I wanted to try and do the same thing for Ukrainian brands, but until I like lived in Ukraine, it sort of made no sense for them, right? Like very few of them were actually interested in like in an influencer type partnership, because they also understand that my videos don't do nearly as well unless they're about politics. So it's sort of like most of my audience is not going to be engaged into like, into buying stuff or into content that revolves around buying. I don't know. Okay. Your other channel would be better. Yeah, I did actually. I created a channel. So like, here's the thing. I do want to like, learn how to film like interesting videos that are just about like random stuff in Kyiv, right? And like just life and like, I don't know, little like home, because I'm obsessed with home decor. And those of you who followed me since like 2022, you know that I'm a designer by trade. I was a UX designer. I was a creative director before I started doing this. And so I love interior design. I love everything that has to do with aesthetics, but obviously this channel is not that. So I created a little TikTok account and I called it Yewleea Home. And it's just basically videos of like cooking and cine and, like just random, like, I don't know, creative. I see that channel as like a creative outburst or just like things I want to film that are random, that are just like, that just like look nice, and that are just like an easy watch. So that's sort of what yeah. So that's sort of that. But okay, you guys, we gotta get to the news today because yeah, it's been like 30 minutes of me rambling, and first of them were about, THC, and now I'm rambling about home content stuff. Okay, so hellos. Hi Juju, hi Pietro, hi Brian. Hi Frank, hi Carolyn, hi Prexis, hi Nikki, hi John, hi Ozzy, hi Martin, hi Andreas. I think I already said hello, Brandy, but maybe not. So I'll say hello again. Hi Nikki. Hi Hobby. Hi Rick. Hi Frank. Hi Odin, Gina, Sally. Hi Kristen. I finally made it to a live and I'm not sure what I stumbled into. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what I made you stumble into too. Hi Animal. Also, hi Mr. Squiggle. Hi Kella. Hi September Claire. Hi Greg. Hi Ed. Hi Karen. Hi Northerner. Yes, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee profile. It's right here. You can also find me by just looking up my YouTube username on Buy Me a Coffee. Hi Liz. Hi Em. Hi Sami. Is it legal in Ukraine? Nope. Hi Darlene. Not yet. I think they're gonna make medicinal legal, but not really. Not yet, at least. Hi Okiroshi. Or Okiroshi. Okay, let's get into the news. I mean, news are quite unfortunate today. There is a lot of stuff that isn't great. We're going to start with a good thing. The good thing is Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has proposed that the US Senate recognize Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism following President Vladimir Putin's agreement with North Korea. Should have been done a long time ago, but no better time than now because it matches, right? Like he goes to North Korea, which is a worldwide, acknowledged dictatorship, and they make a partnership. They sign it on paper. I think this is a great time to recognize Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism, not that it hasn't been for this entire time. Senator Graham cited Russia's crimes in Ukraine and other countries as grounds for this designation and highlighted Putin's recent visit to North Korea as a significant provocation. He emphasized that now is the right moment for the Senate to pass the bill. Hi, Yulia. If you said hi to everyone when your channel grows, it take you an hour to finish the highs. Well, I did sort of like, I did skim through. Hi, Darlene. I did skim through like after a while and I realized that it's taking a long time. But yeah, there's 76 people watching. I mean, like, hey, that could be, I think I could do it in like under 3 minutes. How else will Marjorie Taylor Greene get paid? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure she gets paid in Bitcoin or some shit like that. So yeah, that's I think that this is a perfect time, to be honest. Also, like, when senators and other people in general just cite situations saying like, Russia's crimes everywhere else, right? I want to read you a DM from a person that I received today, and it's a person from Georgia. So I posted a thing in my Instagram story that basically said, funny thing about blackouts and living in the 15th floor. I walk upstairs multiple times a day, sometimes for fun at this point, and it's a great workout, I tell ya. Elevators have become a luxury, and I prefer to take them down, not up. And so this person responded to my message saying, I also lived exactly what you endure now in the early 90s in Georgia, when Russia invaded Georgia in 1991/92 and cut all electricity and gas transport to Georgia. Entire country plunged in total darkness for 6 years. I remember electricity only 2 hours a day. I was 13, 14 years old. Lived at my mom's apartment on the 15th floor in a 16-floor building in Tbilisi then. Always without elevators. It was 6 years of hell. What I wanted to say is that you will overcome that. Ukrainian people are some of the most resourceful and strong I've ever met. Russia did this to Georgia before it ever did this to Ukraine. Russia did this to Moldova before it ever did this to Ukraine. Russia has done it to so many countries. Russia has done it to Chechnya. Only, like, look at pictures of Grozny from when Russia completely carpet bombed it, and they had to restore the whole city. And one of the reasons why, Ramzan Kadyrov and Putin are so friendly is because Kadyrov's father actually sold out Chechnya, or it used to be Republic of Ichkeria, to Putin. They made a deal, and Putin basically gave them money, restored the city and stuff like that, as long as Chechnya doesn't fight for independence and submit to Russia. And they kind of have their own sort of lawlessness and their own sort of like, principles and law and stuff like that, kind of separate from Russia, because it is a Muslim state and Kadyrov is a dictator of its own. And sort of like there is a lot of crazy religious stuff being imposed there. And it's even harsher than Russia. And Kadyrov is allowed that. And Kadyrov is allowed to have his own laws and own regulations because, they have a deal with Putin. And Chechnya has a lot of resources, as in like, gas and oil and all that stuff Russia loves. And that's why Russia wanted it so badly. And Russia gets to use all of those resources, make money out of it. And it lets, Chechnya have its own laws. So yeah. About 30 servicemen who are currently undergoing rehabilitation after serious injuries watched the training of the national Ukrainian team before the match against Slovakia. Both the military personnel and the national team emphasized that about 1,500 Azovstal defenders remain in captivity in Russia, and the total number of prisoners of war is several thousand more. So there are still 1,500 people from Azovstal still in Russian captivity. 2 years. Thank you, Niels, for gifting YouTube memberships. Thank you so much. That's very, very sweet of you. This is a video from United 24 that I actually it's my it's my segment that a lot of you know. It's about journalists and how journalists are supposed to be impartial. I am going to play it on YouTube full screen, but you guys on TikTok are going to have to listen to it because, again, anytime I put anything on screen, thank you, Stephanie, TikTok basically stops showing my live to people, saying that I'm stealing someone else's content. So we're not going to be doing that. But YouTube is a whole different ballpark, so.
They said, but is it even possible in wartime? Ask Hemingway, who rode from the front line and helped hunt Nazi submarines. Or Claire Hollingworth, who was the first to report on Hitler's attack. Or Ernie Pyle, who described the war on behalf of American soldiers and died with them on the battlefield. Or Richard Hotlett, who continued to cover the war even after surviving Nazi captivity. Or the crew of the Oscar-winning documentary 20 Days in Mariupol, who risked their lives to document Russia's war crimes. Were they impartial? Probably not. Because a person with eyes, head, and heart simply cannot treat good and evil, truth and lie, equally.
I thought it was one of the dumbest things I'd ever heard. I didn't understand what it meant. Denazification?
Russia has already killed over 80 journalists in Ukraine, 10 of them on duty. But as long as the war continues, no one is safe. So if the word is a weapon, it must be used to protect lives and freedom.
So these are actually very interesting points, there are lots of journalists like Hemingway, like Hollingsworth, oh my God, I can't pronounce their name right, that were reporting wars. And I don't think we don't ever talk about it, or we don't ever necessarily pay a lot of attention to it. But every time people try to say like, oh, if you're a Ukrainian journalist, obviously you're you're biased and stuff. And it's like, you can't be non-biased when you see this with your own eyes. Like, what do you mean biased? I'm not biased. It's just that there is a very evident truth here, and you can't be impartial when you see that one side is committing war crimes and is invading another country and is doing all of these horrendous acts of just terrorism, and the other side is just protecting itself. It's not, you can't really be balanced here, because there is no balance. There is just one aggressor and one side that's defending itself. The national team of Ukraine defeated the national team of Slovakia 2-1 in the second round of Euro 2024. The goals for Ukraine were scored by Mykola Shaparenko from Dynamo Kyiv and Roman Yaremchuk, who plays for Valencia, Spain. Russians were intentionally shooting at press vests. Even Russian propagandists were afraid to wear the vests at some point and would rather wear combat uniforms. Yep, and the other thing here is that they intentionally shoot at signs that say medical workers, at signs. So for instance, if you're in a car and it says aid or volunteers or medical or anything like that, they'll shoot up the car even more so than they would if it didn't say that. If they are invading a place and people are hiding out, if they write children in front or wherever, somewhere near the place where they're hiding out, Russia is more likely to target that place. So yeah, Russia is in fact a terrorist state, and they don't have anything sacred, really. I mean, it's such a, it's such a cliche thing, but they really don't. If you write things that will indicate that there are more vulnerable classes of people somewhere, they will more likely shoot it up and try to damage it. Zelensky spoke with Duda, the president of Poland, about the security agreement and the summit on peace for Ukraine. During the conversation, the head of state thanked Duda for active support of the summit on peace for Ukraine and agreed to jointly involve other countries in the final communique. Polish football fans stopped by the Russian embassy in Berlin before the match with the Austrian national team. If you don't know what that means, they're basically screaming Russians are the nicest way I could say it is the B word, but like that's the lowest tier of an insult that you could derive from kurwa, which is a Polish curse word for everything. Gazprom increased oil trade to compensate for unprofitable gas business. The Russian monopolists have suffered from the loss of the European market, which once provided about 2/3 of its revenue. Last year, Gazprom reported annual losses amounting to $7 billion and reduced natural gas production by 13% to a record low of 359 billion cubic meters, down from 412 billion cubic meters in 2022. Gazprom Neft has shown better results than the parent company. Neft is oil. Currently, Gazprom, through its Gazprom Export division, is trying to increase the transshipment of ESPO oil delivered to Asia, as well as the export of Siberian light oil, sources and trading companies told reporters. Oil exports through Gazprom's pipelines doubled in 2023 and are expected to double again in 2024, said one of the sources. The volume of condensate production by Gazprom will also increase. In May, the company began production at the Urengoy oil field, which is expected to produce 1.5 million tons of condensate per year. Also, here's the thing. Russia is going to try to compensate for loss in gas shipments with oil, but then oil is going to get sanctioned the same way. So the window of opportunity here is very short for them. And obviously, we've been targeting gas much more than we've been targeting oil because gas is their main source of income. And now we're just going to have to sanction oil to the same extent to which we've sanctioned gas. This particular little United 24-bit that I'm going to demonstrate to you right now. Again, if you're on TikTok, you're going to have to just listen to it. If you're on YouTube, you're going to be able to watch it. So if you need any more reasons to absolutely despise Kanye West, I mean, it's not like anyone needs any more reasons for that, but if you need any more, here is a new one. Here is a new reason. I will play it for you.
This is Kanye West wearing a hoodie that features a phrase in Russian Black Dogs by his Yeezy brand. The new drop was released in cooperation with a notorious Russian designer Gosha Rubchinsky. In 2018, Gosha was accused of soliciting pornographic photography of a 16-year-old fan.
You are literally my idol.
Send me now something from the bathroom.
He's been in love with the Soviet aesthetics and regularly promoted it in his business, along with militarism. Much like Kanye, Gosha has been a distinct supporter of Russia. The only thing missing for him to perfectly match with his American employer is the praise of Hitler and justification of Nazism.
Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler. I see good things about Hitler also.
I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people.
Such anti-Semitic remarks made sportswear giant Adidas terminate its partnership with the controversial rapper.
I'm like young Putin. Because I was like, yo, I'm young Putin. I used to say I was young Vladimir until I realized I was Vladimir. You know the moment when I realized it was? When I realized that culture is an oil.
Yeah, I mean, I consider Kanye West to be like literally a crazy person. Like, I think I mean, like, I guess he was diagnosed as bipolar, right? And he never takes medication, which is not good. And you can't really like, I mean, being bipolar is one thing. The thing is, like, a lot of people excuse his crazy remarks as like, oh, but he's bipolar. But it's like, mental health and mental illness is not an excuse for being racist, is not an excuse for being like off the wagon with your like insane remarks. Like, yes, sure, bipolar is like, two different extremes all the time, but like racism has nothing to do with bipolar. Like, and it's really bad when people try to use mental illness as an excuse, because that puts negative stigma on people with mental illness. Like, having a mental illness doesn't mean being insane or crazy. Kanye is both mentally ill, insane, crazy, and a racist. And also fucking loves Russia and Hitler. You know? Quote of the day from Armin is up, so I'm going to read it before it gets lost. I fear three newspapers more than 100,000 bayonets. Napoleon Bonaparte. There is a reason why thin-skinned, petty, and secure dictators attack the media. Yeah, of course, and there is also the reason why the media controls the world and the narrative, right? Because the more virality you have, the more people listen to you. The more people listen to you, the more you control the narrative. So the media is a very, very, very large tools. I really need to get a better name for my girl cat. Yeah. Rebecca's has two cats. Girl cat is named Kanye, and boy cat is named Kim, and she did not pick those names. The cats came to her like that. In the afternoon, Russian military launched a missile attack on a food warehouse in Kryvyi Rih. As a result of the attack, 2 men aged 60 and 22 were injured. The Netherlands has assembled a Patriot system for Ukraine and will transfer it together with another state. The head of the Dutch Ministry of Defense declined to provide the delivery timeline for the Patriot air defense systems to Ukraine to avoid disclosing this information to Russia. Satellite images reveal the consequences of the attack on the oil depot in Russian Adygea. I don't know. On the night of June 20th, drones attacked the oil depot in the village of Anem. And this is what it looks like. I guess I will first show it to TikTok at an angle that you guys can see it, and then I'll bring it closer to YouTube. Russia will threaten NATO for many years. NATO Supreme Allied Commander Christopher Cavoli stated on June 19th at the Eurosatory exhibition in Paris. The defeat of Russia in Ukraine is extremely important, but no matter how it turns out on the other side of the conflict, we will find a Russia that has a military that is rebuilding much faster than we thought. So we will have big problems with Russia for many years, and I think we need to prepare for that. I mean, of course, you know what I'm going to say. I agree with him. I think that, Russia is not just a threat to NATO. I think Russia has infiltrated NATO, and I think Russia has infiltrated NATO in such ways that, like, no one expected, because, we thought the Cold War was over and we thought that was just like done with. However, it isn't. It's not done with. It's not over, and it never was. And Russia just put in more sleeper agents and was able to accomplish more, while everyone in the West slept on the fact that Russia was still in the Cold War mode, pretending like it wasn't. Hi, Mike. And as I always say, tanks don't have to be rolling through your cities for Russia to have invaded you. Russia is installing politicians. Russia is controlling the media in a lot of ways. Russia is paying for the media. Russia is creating media that people believe is in the countries in which it says it is, but it's actually run from Moscow. Like, it's crazy. Russia is invading the West through means of information, not through military. Also, Just a gentle reminder that if you do have the ability to do so, and if you would like to support me, my journalism, and help me bring better quality information to you guys, I have a Buy Me a Coffee, a Patreon, a PayPal, and also if you subscribe to the live feature on TikTok or become a YouTube channel member, that helps a lot and goes a very, very long way. And I really, really appreciate it. And also on TikTok, I believe the more people subscribe to the live feature, the more free free TikTok live membership subscriptions I can give out to people, like the 14 that I did give out last week, because I didn't realize that there were all of them there. I had no idea. Oh, thank you, Russell. Welcome to the Spy Layer. I really do appreciate it. NATO needs to get their finger out of their ass and stop being soft. Yeah, I do agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Thank you, Russell, again. And thank you again, Niels, for the 5 YouTube memberships that you gifted earlier. The US has allowed Ukraine to strike at Russian territory up to 100 kilometers deep, according to the Washington Post. The publication notes that despite a reduction in Russian attacks, this distance. Thank you, Chris. That's so sweet of you. Thank you. The publication notes that despite I can't speak today. The publication notes that despite a reduction in Russian attacks, this distance is still not sufficient to cover Russian airfields where aircraft are located that conduct strikes on Ukrainian territory. So, in other words, basically, you remember how we had this not debate, but this sort of notion that Ukraine can only strike along the Kharkiv border into the Russian territory, and then it was said by the U.S. officials that that's not true. We can strike along the border in general, like we've been allowed to strike in various different places. So it's actually within 100 kilometers deep from the Russian border, which is not bad, but also not great, because here is where the catch is. Most of Russia's ammo storage facilities, most of Russia's factories that produce Shahed drones and Russia's ammo and all of that stuff, they're not within 100 kilometers from the border. Being able to strike Russia's positions in Russia right near the border with Kharkiv helps, because Russia is not able to strike Kharkiv as much. But it doesn't help it helps in the short run. It doesn't help in the long run, because again, we need to be destroying their airfields, their ammo storage facilities, their production facilities and stuff like that, because that's ultimately what leads to lives being saved in Ukraine, because that's, striking one position that strikes Ukraine is great, but it doesn't change much. Striking an ammo depot changes a lot. Striking a production facility puts Russia out in being able to produce drones or missiles or whatever it is. So this technically, it's great that we've been allowed to strike 100 kilometers into Russia, but also it's a very minimal change from what it used to be before we were able to strike Russia at all. So it's really kind of you hanging off a cliff and someone stretching a finger to you and being like, oh yeah, hold my finger, I will hold you. And it's you need a hand, actually, maybe both. And for that person to pull you, not just kind of casually, give you a finger and be like, yeah, hold on to this. This is sort of what the US is doing to us right now. Yeah. And Chris, thank you again for sending memberships to people. That's very, very sweet. Also, you guys, if you don't know, Chris, the guy who just sent 5 memberships, so he is Gen Z for Biden, I would say. His account basically, you should go follow him. He talks about American politics, and he very dynamically explains a lot of different stuff, misconceptions about sort of the Democratic Party and about the laws and regulations and changes that Biden has made since his time in the office. And also, he's really good at breaking through really bad MAGA propaganda and telling you what's really up. So, so you should go follow him. That's him right there. He's actually like, I feel like saying he's a great kid is such a like patronizing thing to say because he's a great kid. And I'm not saying kid because he's like about 9 years younger than me, but because like, man, dude, guy, he's a great dude. Go follow him because he's a great dude. I feel like I've never sounded more 30 than I did just now. So like, we're just going to move on from here because, this is not what the cool kids say these days. Okay. We're back with the news before I embarrass myself even further by sounding like, 60 rather than 29. Thank you very much. Okay. Poland reported another very tense night during Russia's shelling of Ukraine. Polish allied fighter jets once again took to the air in response to the Russian attack against infrastructure facilities in Ukraine. It was a very tense night for the entire Polish air defense system, as a massive long-range missile attack by the Russian Federation covered the entire territory of Ukraine, including the border regions with Poland, reads the statement from the operational command of the Polish Armed Forces. So, also, Chris, well, you are like 21, aren't you? Technically, again, I'm going to sound very patronizing if I'm going to say like, that's pretty applicable. But anyways, but yeah, so one of the things that's like great about Poland is Poland has been pushing for NATO to basically allow Poland to shoot down Russian targets on approach. So for instance, like if Poland and like Moldova or like Romania were able to cover Ukraine's sky, like close Ukraine's sky over some western parts of the country, that would be super helpful for everyone, because that way Polish air defense would work. Our air defense would not be overloaded. Poland would know that they don't have to wait for something to get into their country or fall onto their people before they shoot it down. They could shoot it down on approach, and they could shoot it down over, like, for instance, Lviv, Ternopil, Ivano-Frankivsk, Uzhhorod, or like Chernivtsi. But to be fair, nothing really ever happens in Ternopil, Chernivtsi, or Uzhhorod. So I would say Lviv and Ivano-Frankivsk. Basically, western parts of Ukraine. That would really, really help our air defense, because that way we wouldn't have to extend our air defense to western parts where things happen on a much less regular basis. We could throw that air defense towards the places that really need it, like Odessa and Kharkiv and Sumy and Zaporizhia. And that would take a lot of load off of us. And Poland is fully capable of protecting the skies over Ukraine, and it's not unreasonable for Poland to shoot things down before they get into Poland if they're flying towards Poland. So yeah. Poland usually, the reason why we're hearing Poland release these reports a lot more lately is because they do want the permission to be able to shoot these targets down before they even get to their airspace, so on approach. So they're kind of like playing this, we had a very tense night, guys, another tense night, that was really bad for our Air Force. That was really bad. Yeah, that was we were worried that night, because they want to create a sense of urgency to have this conversation. Moscow Exchange announces forced conversion of dollars and euros into rubles, the Moscow Times report. The Moscow Exchange, which has been sanctioned by the United States, sad, announced that it will fulfill its obligations to brokers and their clients, but will return currency balances in rubles. After being included in the SDN list on June 12th, the exchange lost the ability to operate with dollars and euro. Trading in these currencies was stopped on June 13th. The conversation, why can't I speak today? The conversion of US dollars and euros into rubles and the fulfillment of obligations will be carried out by June 28th, 2024, at the central rate set for June 13th, 2024, based on the results of exchange trading on June 11, 2024. The exchange reported. So basically, Russia is forced to, Russia can no longer Russia can't have anything to do with euros or dollars. And I think it's going to go for Canadian dollars and Australian dollars as well, but so far it's USD, so American dollars. And so basically, no Russians, no Russian exchanges, no Russian funds, no Russian hedge funds, no Russian businesses can do anything with dollars. So their banks are forced to exchange all the dollars and euros in the country into rubles, which that's really bad for the banks. I don't know how they're not collapsing yet, but they likely might. And it's also really bad for the people. And I mean, it's not great. Russian economy is like really struggling, which, I mean, not great for Russia, great for everyone else. If we ever made a decision that would plummet Russian economy as close to collapse as possible, it's this most current sanction on trading in euros and dollars. Putin came to Asia to destroy, and he succeeded, writes the New York Times. Can they still use Amazon? They could never use Amazon. 4 days in Asia, that's all it took for Vladimir Putin to anger Washington, undermine Beijing's position, and unsettle the countries of the Indo-Pacific region. After visits to Pyongyang and Hanoi, which were painted in communist red, Putin left behind a redrawn map of risks in Asia. North Korea is at the center, a nuclear rogue state that regularly threatens its neighbors and has suddenly gained strength thanks to Russian promises of high-tech military aid and a mutual defense pact. Russian promises are not worth much, so if I were North Korea, I wouldn't be celebrating quite yet. Putin has also signed at least a dozen deals with Vietnam, a country that is becoming increasingly important to China and the United States in their struggle for influence. In Hanoi, he insisted that a reliable security architecture cannot be built through closed military political blocs. Really? So what is BRICS then? And what is the Russia's faux knockoff NATO then? Interesting that Putin thinks that, because he creates closed military political blocs too. They're just not nearly as successful or at all. Last time I checked, Armenia was literally leaving CSTO. And most of the members of CSTO refused to hold exercises together or at all, and don't really contribute anything to the bloc anymore. So, I guess. The trip was both defiant and devastating. It showed that the power struggle, sometimes imagined as a new Cold War between the US and China, is not as clear-cut as it might seem. And many countries in the region appear to have ended the week with a deeper sense of anxiety. The presence of Putin and his threats, bold one minute and nebulous the next, have further complicated the already difficult calculations in the field of security and rivalry between great powers. In recent years, the Indo-Pacific region has been in a state of geopolitical dispute between the United States and China, primarily due to China's claims to Taiwan, as well as increased Chinese militarization in the South China Sea. Most countries in the region are already strengthening their armed forces to counter pressure from China and uncertainty about how far the US-China rivalry might go. I mean, I don't think the US-China rivalry is it's not necessarily... I don't think Cold War is the right statement. I mean, we definitely have a lot of tensions with China. It's a power struggle, and we are sort of seeing the world dynamics shift from Russia versus the US to China versus the US, or rather the US versus China. I'm not saying that China is actively versus the US and the US is just what? No, I mean, it's a mutual situation. Thank you, Tara. But I wouldn't necessarily call it the new Cold War, because there is still trade happening between the two. The US is one of China's largest clients in terms of export and stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily call it the new Cold War. Rivalry, economic rivalry, a power struggle of whose balls are bigger, for sure. But we're not quite there yet. On the afternoon of June 22nd, the Russian army conducted forced strikes in one of the districts of Kharkiv. Those strikes injured 56 and killed 3 people as of the latest information. There was a massive, it was a massive hit. I don't know how to better name it, but the reason why the thumbnail of this live says "All Eyes on Kharkiv" is because This happens to Kharkiv every day, almost every day. Since we've been able to strike Russia back, it's been a little better. And there have been a little less of that. And because we've been able to destroy Russia's positions right across the border from which they shoot at Kharkiv. But it's still really bad. And Kharkiv goes through this every day for the past 2 years. Russia seems to be aiming to destroy Kharkiv completely. I really don't know how people still live in Kharkiv, to be honest, because the air raids are nonstop. Most of the air raids go off for like 18 hours. Some are 11, but imagine 11 hours a day there is an air raid. And I don't mean that in terms of sound, like that's not how it works, but I mean that in terms of danger coming your way. Kharkiv can never relax, and you never know. You're living there with a constant possibility, and it's more likely than not to happen that you are going to be hit with a missile in your sleep. That's how Kharkiv lives for the past 2 years. You're going to work, you will likely get hit by a missile. You're shopping at a freaking Home Depot, missile. You're working at a print house producing books, missile. You're going to kindergarten, missile. It's horrendous what's been going on in Kharkiv. As a result of these air bombs hitting Kharkiv, 3 people have died and another 56 have been wounded or injured, including 3 children. Emergency and rescue operations are ongoing on the site of the impact and likely will be going on for quite a while longer. Because that's a huge there are likely people under the rubble, and it's likely going to take quite a bit of time before someone's going to be able, before all the people are found and we can make sure that everyone has been accounted for. So I would say that it's going to last 2, 3, maybe 4 days. Oh, thank you, Blue Ariel Silk. That's very pretty. I've actually never seen that before. It's adorable. Thank you so much. All right, guys. I thank you for watching. It is almost 3 a.m. I am going to go to bed. I have a few things to do on Sunday, which is now technically is Sunday. But 2:23, there was an attack on Kupiansky district in Kharkiv region. Yeah, Kharkiv gets shelled all the time. All the time. And I mean Kharkiv, both oblast and the city. All right. I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. And also, if you didn't see the beginning of this live, I do recommend you go watch it on YouTube because it's a fun time. Okay. Bye. See you later.